Mm-hmm. Glad to see Sunday rejoining us. So yes, I think you can start it.
Everybody please unmute and greet the Seattle. Hello, Venerable Sir.
Hello, Venerable Sir.
Yes. Yes, when you're greeting a monk, it is very polite to put the hands together and say, hello, Venerable Sir. Okay, so nice to see everybody. I'm happy to see you again. And let's start by meditation right away. So please make sure your camera is adjusted so that I can see your legs, hands, and face. Seems like Pure needs some more adjustment. Maybe if Pure just moves back, it will work. A little bit more back, please. Pure, I think you can move all the way towards the wall. Okay. Okay. Sandy definitely needs some adjustment. Yes, I worried that Sandy is actually sitting in a wrong way, but I cannot tell for sure. Maybe Sandy, you may like to keep the camera on a chair so that I see you from above.
Sorry, there's no chairs in the room right now.
You can use the chair behind you. Nice to meet you, Timo, again. So we are going to meditate. Please adjust the camera. Timo, you may like to keep the camera on a chair or on a bed or something. Okay, this also seems fine. Okay, okay, looks good. Sandy, you may like to tilt the camera a little bit up and sit all the way close to the wall. Perfect, perfect. And do you see how Yaza is sitting? That's one way how you can sit. I don't see anyone sitting the other way. You can either either you keep one foot in front of the other foot. So I have one foot here and one foot here. So basically I'm aligning the heels. That's one way of sitting. That's very good. Or you can keep one of the feet between the thigh and calf, or you can keep it on the thigh. This is how I sit, how I meditate. So those are the choices. Which one of them would you like to choose? Okay, very good. The way how I sit is a little bit more difficult. So if you feel it's uncomfortable to keep the foot on the thigh, you can decide to meditate with the foot between the thigh and calf. But do not make that decision during a meditation session. If you decide to change your posture, always change it for the next session. So we do not change our posture during one session, although if you meditate a long time, let's say 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and you have excruciating pain, it is good to change your posture for a while, let's say 3 or 5 minutes, and then return back to the posture in which you started. So for example, suppose that I will meditate in this posture for 1 hour, but after 50 minutes I will have an extreme pain for example, maybe here. And then I will have pain here. And then if I have pain here, what I can do is I can take the leg and keep it by the side for about 2-3 minutes. After about those 2-3 minutes, when all of the pain is entirely gone and I feel totally comfortable, I will actually return exactly to the same posture in which I started. So what I will not do is that I will not stay in this posture until the end of the session. I will also not stay in this posture until the time I will get pain in this posture. Not at all. Instead, I will keep this posture always as my, how to say that, as the way how I relieve the pain, never as a potential trouble. So this posture is always the solution, never a trouble. So this, after 2-3 minutes, when the pain all is gone, then I return the leg in the way that I started. That's one thing. So what we do not do, we do not stay in the secondary posture for too long time. Second thing we do not do is that we do not try to avoid the need to change posture by lifting the knee like this. Never do that. That's so unhealthy. It has very bad effect on your nerves. Third thing that we do not do, we do not introduce a new posture into the session. So during one single session, I'm not trying to invent new postures. So I have one primary posture, one secondary posture, and that's it. I do not try to sit in a third way, like this, or like this, or like this. No, I do not introduce any new posture into my one session. Of course, I can decide to sit like this from the next session. I can decide to sit like this from the next session, but I should not sit like this even for 1 second during the session for which I decided to sit like this. Does everybody understand? Those who understand, please nod your head. Okay, seems clear. And now, as you're sitting in a comfortable meditation posture, let's make the first determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. And with that determination, we can gently, lovingly notice the flat piece of flesh at the top of the head. Let's allow it to be heavy and changing. We continue to the forehead, eyes, nose, lips, chin, cheeks, ears, back of the head, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the head to be heavy. We continue to the neck, shoulders, arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms, fingers, tips of fingers, chest, abdomen, back, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the upper part of the body to be heavy and changing. We continue to the buttocks, thighs, knees, calves, heels, soles, toes, tips of toes, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the body to be heavy. But we are very careful about the back, and we make the back erect. And if you notice that your body is slouching or your back is not erect, you can correct it anytime, as many times as you notice that it's not perfect. Even after you correct your back, even when it seems to be right, there may be small adjustments in your back that you may need to do during your meditation sessions. They are very good to be done, and you can do them anytime, as many times you want. And as we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the body to be heavy and changing, we consider how the mind relates to this nature of the body. Is the mind still with the muscles and flesh? Is the mind still providing the feeling of heaviness? Whatever is the mind doing, we want to know it. We want to be careful about that. And as we allow the body to be the way it is, we ourselves enjoy the freedom from worry about the body. Let's look at this freedom and explore the peace that we achieve through this freedom. Now let's share the peace that we have achieved with other living beings. And we can start in our room, in our minds, voicelessly. We will recite one sentence of which we do not force, we do not expect, we just allow. May all beings in this room be in peace. May all beings in this room be in peace. And we can gradually expand our loving kindness. May all beings in this building be in peace. May all beings in this city or village be in peace. May all beings in this country be in peace. May all beings on this continent be in peace. May all beings on this planet be in peace. May all beings, including me, be in peace. Now, because the time for this sitting is finished, let's make the last determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. And with that determination, we can slowly, mindfully change the way of our sitting. And when we have changed the way of our sitting, let's take one more minute during which we will not move at all and enjoy the peace we gained in meditation. Okay, so let's move on to our recitation. So I would like to ask you everyone to unmute. And as you're reciting, make sure that if you're serious about it, then you keep your hands together at the chest. Today it will be Sri Lankan pronunciation. Yamahang vadami tang vadetha.
Amabande.
Okay, so let's try that again. Yamahang vadami tang vadetha.
Bhante.
Aham bhante.
Bhante.
Amabande.
Tisaranena saha.
Tisarana Saha.
Panchasilang dhammang yajami.
Silam Dhamma Nachami.
Anuggahang katva.
Anukkatva.
Silang deta me bhante.
Silandita
Ilani Bhante.
Anukampang upadaya.
Anukam Upadaya.
Dutiyampi aham bhante.
Dutiyami
Dutiyami Aham Bhante.
Tisaranena saha.
Tisaranena Saha.
Panchasilang dhammang yajami.
Silam Dhamma.
Anuggahang katva.
Anukkatva.
Silang deta me bhante.
Silam Deta Me Bhante.
Anukampang upadaya.
Anukampam Upadaya.
Tatiyampi aham bhante.
Yati Ambe Aham Bhante.
Tisaranena saha.
Tisaranena Saha.
Panchasilang dhammang yajami.
Silam Dhamma Nachami.
Anuggahang katva. Silang deta me bhante.
Silam Deta Me Bhante.
Anukampang upadaya.
Anukampam Upadaya.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddha.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddha.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddha.
Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami.
Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Okay, some of you seem to be very successful, some of you seem to be a little confused. So you're saying all of those three with the word dutiyampi. So let's try that again. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Sarana-gamanang paripunnang
Pāṇāti
Pāṇāti-pātā vēramaṇi sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi.
Pāṇāti-pātā vēramaṇi sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi.
Adinādāna vēramaṇi sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi.
Adinādāna vēramaṇi sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi.
Kāmesu miccācārā vēramaṇi sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi.
Kāmesu miccācārā vēramaṇi sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi.
Musāvādā vēramaṇi sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi.
Musāvādā vēramaṇi sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi.
Surāmēraya majja Pamādaṭṭhāna vēramaṇi sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Tisaranena saddhiṃ pañcasīlaṃ dhammam sādhukam surakkhitam katvā appamādena sampādetha. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you soon attain the eternal bliss of Nibbana. Very good. So next week we will have it in Burmese pronunciation, and then from the other week I hope to do this without the paper, so that gradually you all memorize it and you know it very well in both English, in both the Sri Lankan and the Burmese pronunciation. All right, so there's some more progress coming, and now I would like to ask you to share with me your notes from your first half of the 16th chapter on crime. So before that, I would like to know how many of you have read the article that I have shared with you in Viber. So if you have read it, please raise your Zoom hand. Yaza has read it. Anyone else? Jake? And Sandy? Max? All right. Yamon, did you know about the article?
I think I forgot about it.
Do you know when I sent the link to the article in Viber?
No, I didn't have my notifications on.
I see. I actually sent it yesterday, so you did not have much time to find about it anyway. It's good if you know. Do you use Viber for other people also, or is the group the only thing you have there?
Just the group.
Just the group. You may like to keep your notifications on. There are not so many things happening in the group. Maybe 2-3 messages per week, and either the message is related to the recording available in YouTube, or there is some additional reading or watching that is related to what we are going through. So I would like to suggest that you keep the notifications on. If you happen to get more people in Viber, then Viber has the ability to turn on and off the notification for specific people. So you can have the group with notification and the other people without notifications. This would be difficult if you have there like hundreds of people, because you would have to do this for each person. But if you have there just the group, or maybe the group and let's say 2-3 more people, then this should be easy. It is a specific setting for each person or for each group. So there should be something, some dots or something that you get, in the settings for each person, for each group, and you can then decide, okay, I want to get notifications for this one and not for that one. You basically just there should be something like a speaker picture, tiny little speaker picture, and when you click on that or touch it, then it becomes crossed out, and that means that you do not get notifications from that person or the group. All right, so Pyo, did you know about the link that I sent yesterday in the group?
Yes,
You knew.
I saw
Okay.
it.
Yes, and Pyo, did you at least read the last paragraph of the article?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
I see. Okay. So so we can look at it right now. I don't know what was the name of the article. Yaza, do you know what was the heading of the article?
I believe it was about something like kangaroo courts.
That's another article. I actually sent to you 2 or 3 things. One was the article about how kids are sentenced to death in the US. And the other one was the explanation of the kangaroo court term. So those were actually 2 things, totally separate. Yes,
I
Sandy?
think I only read the kangaroo court one.
You read only about kangaroo court. Okay. Sandy?
It's called juvenile death penalty speech.
Yes, thank you. So the article is relatively long. So so those who have read this particular article, juvenile death penalty speech, they have learned a lot of interesting information to see how it actually works in the US. So the last paragraph reads, "We engage in state murder of children who are our social trash." So the truth of juvenile executions in the United States is that we execute the ill and infirm without providing them with any advocacy. To say that such a policy reeks of eugenics and ethnic cleansing is almost an understatement. It is up to us now to stop this tradition of violence and inhumanity. It is up to us to finally protect all the children of this country. It is up to us to adhere to the basic fundamentals of human rights and dignity. The time has come to start acting in the best interest of the child. And this is from 1999. And it's actually a speech that's apparently transcribed. Those are the article describes the different cases of the children who were sentenced to death, and shows from the examples that most of the children were either black or poor or mentally ill. So or let's say mentally, he calls it infirm. So instead of getting any support, instead of getting any understanding, they were killed. So that's the situation. And so this was for you to see that usually the children who cannot defend themselves and who do not have a wealthy and powerful background will suffer more than the children who are more fortunate and have a wealthy and powerful background. All right, so now I would like to ask you to read for me your selected sentences or your notes, and let's start with Joe.
I said that every year about 200,000 youths between the ages of 12 and 17 are arrested for violent crimes.
Mm-hmm. That's one sentence. Did you have a second one?
No, that's it.
Okay. Yes, I would like to ask everyone to always note at least two sentences. You can note 20, but you read for us only 2. Okay, so Timo. Did you read chapter 16, first half?
I only read half of it because I was sick.
Yes, only half was intended, and the second half is for next week. So yes, I'm listening.
No less than the public remain confused about the age at which children should be deemed capable of understanding rights and wrong and the consequence of their action is evident, uh, evident in the fact that execution of children younger than 14 continue in the United States of America well into 18th century. Any child who, for any reason, is destitute or homeless or abandoned or dependent on the public for support or has no proper parent, so care or guardianship, or who habitually begs or receives, or who is living in any house or ill fame in any vicious or disreputable person, or whose home by reason of neglectful cruelty or I don't know. Can I say it with my own words?
Yes, please.
It means people who don't got like no power or anything, like they're homeless and doesn't have money or anything. It says that it means that people who are under 8, like kids under 8, they're found penalty for entertainment in the streets and stuff, something like that.
I
I
see.
don't get what. Yeah.
Timo, you copy those sentences by hand, by a pen into your notebook? That's quite a lot of work. But probably everyone is doing that, right? If you have, I see. Okay, well, Timo, you do not need to choose long sentences, and you do not need to share with us your favorite sentences. So those what you note down can be short sentences that are somewhat interesting for you that you would like to keep. If you do it for yourself, if you think, oh, this long sentences or this paragraph, I must have it in my notebook, there's no way otherwise, well, then of course you're most welcome to copy it all. But the requirement is short sentences, so you do not need to, you do not need to choose long things at all. Okay. Also, Timo, if the sentence is long, what you can do, what I've already suggested, you can actually write it in your words. So you actually do not copy the sentence from the book. You copy the page number. That's right. So let's say the page number is 215, and now you write what you have understood. My markings have special markings to distinguish what I quote and what I paraphrase. Quote is when I exactly copy the words. Paraphrase is when I say what's written there, but in my own words. If I paraphrase, I always put it inside slashes, inside slash brackets. So I apply a slash bracket, and then I write whatever I understand from what I read, and then I add the slash bracket. If I want to write my own idea that I feel is missing in the book, or that something that I thought about as I was reading, but something that's not in the book, well, then I write a slash, then star, and then asterisk, and then I write my idea in whatever way I want. I can write just with anything I want, and then I end it. How to say that? I close it by another slash. But I have found out that the software that I use for my notes, that's Evernote, is not able to search things according to asterisks. So I cannot now search my notes because the asterisk doesn't work for search. The asterisk has some other ability in Evernote, but not for distinguishing the word. So if I write asterisk and word and a word without asterisk, then if I search the word with asterisk, it will find both the word with asterisk and the word without the asterisk. So the asterisk doesn't help anything at all. But underscore helps. So I have improved my technique also for better back search. And so now what I use is slash, underscore, and I. If I use slash, underscore, and I, then it is what I think. So then I write what I think and I close it with another slash. If I just am adding a word or adding few words to explain how I understand what's there, what's in the text, so it's not my idea, but it is an additional point which is missing but somewhat clear from the text, then I use underscore a. And I have quite a list of these underscore things like tags. They're basically tags, except that they're very manual, they're very non-automatic. The software doesn't suggest this in any way. And then I can actually search. Yes, I can search now underscore I, and whatever I'm searching, that was my idea, and immediately I will get only those notes that contain what I'm searching. So this is how I'm writing it. So Timo, when you're writing a note in your notebook, you will not be able to search in it in any way because it's not electronic. So it's all based on what you see. So you may like to employ this possibility that instead of copying a long sentence, you write it in your own words, but you start and end it by a slash bracket. Slash bracket is just a slash, that's all. So then and with a star in the beginning. So you write slash bracket, star, whatever way you remember and understand what you read, and then you just end it by one slash, and that's all. So then whenever you are reading it for us, you can say, now this is how I understand it, and read it in your words. Okay, Sandy, do you have 2 sentences for us?
Although adolescents must be held responsible for their actions, they genuinely lack mature decision-making capability, have an inflated appetite for risk, are prone to influence by peers, and do not accurately assess future consequences. And then the second sentence I noted down is, the House of Refuge was established in 1825 and was the first official institution in the U.S. dedicated to protecting and rehabilitating juvenile offenders.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, these historical points are very interesting, and I've almost copied a page or two because it's just so well written and so important. So it's very important to understand the system, and for you it's also very important because you realize that now whatever you do, you might be punished exactly the same way as adults, and worse. And worse. So understanding the situation that if you make a big mistake, that you may not even get an advocate, you may not, a lawyer to, you call them, what do you call them? You have a nice word for that. Attorney. So you may not get an attorney to speak for you, to help you, to provide you with an advice, to speak to the judge, to support you, unlike adults who will get an attorney, especially if they paid their insurance. So if someone works in a special job and they make a mistake, then oftentimes the insurance provides them with attorney. So the person doesn't even have to pay for the attorney at all, because that's what the insurance provides. And therefore, you now as teenagers need to be extraordinarily careful. So always follow the law, and regardless whether you lose or whether you lose some opportunity or happiness or whatever, you always need to follow the law, or make sure that what you do is ordered and suggested by someone else, by someone adult who will then be held responsible, so that you can always say, no, that's not my mistake, that's what he told me. But you cannot point like this to another teenager. That's gone. That's total failure. But if you point like this to a responsible adult, like a teacher or a boss, if you're doing some small job, if you're over 15, or the principal or your parent, then that's very safe. That's very safe. And it's used also among adults. Adults, if they are not sure, they ask another adult who's a professional or experienced, and they say, what do you suggest to me? And then that adult suggests. So then if it is found to be guilty or wrong, then I can say, but I was just following what this guy told me. And this is so powerful. This is so extremely powerful. As soon as you do not have anyone to redirect the guilt to, then you are in a huge problem, because then it is only your fault. You did it and nobody else. So you need to be very careful. And again, the one who you speak of must be someone who's superior and who's expected to be responsible. You cannot just say, oh, I was doing it with my friend, so it's my friend's fault, isn't it? No way. No way. That never works. So always it's the parents, teachers, boss, and professionals who are adult and who are experienced and who seem to be reliable. Then you are pretty free from the problem, because everyone will say, oh yeah, well, so this fellow was unlucky that he had a wrong leader, and then they are interested in the leader and not in the student or whoever followed. So this is the way it is done in the US. I told you that's how it's done in the US, and it's advised by the legal professors. When I studied law for counseling, this a month ago I was studying law. So that's the advice that I get again and again and again and again. Ask someone else for help, and then follow it exactly as they tell you. That's the best way to do it. If you have a problem, ask someone else and follow exactly what they say. You're safe. And if you deal with an attorney, then you just do whatever the attorney says, and don't think. You don't need brain. Just follow whatever they say. You must follow. You don't think. So this is very important. That's the system in the US. For example, Czech Republic is very different. Czech Republic doesn't work like that at all. In Czech Republic, you are entirely dependent on your luck. If you are lucky, then you can do whatever. If you're not lucky, then you can do nothing. And you never know when you're lucky and how much. All right, but mostly, Czech Republic is very easy. So when you're resolving problem, always refer to someone else and follow their instruction in detail, because you know that if you fail to follow the instruction or if you fail to ask for help, then the punishment that you get is more serious and more difficult than if you were an adult. So this was the main point that I found particularly serious. All right, so then what about Jake?
Okay, so the main argument is over children's ability to tell what is right. The capacity of determining what is right and wrong doesn't inherently come with age, as an 11-year-old may have just as much cunning as a 14-year-old. However, children are far more likely to not understand and can be likened to a mentally handicapped adult.
Yes, it was based on the neurological finding with the brain that while the adult has the brain fully developed, the mentally handicapped and the teenager doesn't have the full capacity of the brain available. So that's where they're similar, because the capacity that they have for thinking and rationalizing and understanding the situation is not as complete as an adult has. Okay, Max?
Terence Graham, who was a 16-year-old, robbed a barbecue restaurant and committed 2 home invasions, and he was sentenced to life in prison, which is like they were tested because he went with some other people. They were tested as adults and not children.
Mm-hmm. And Max, did you write down something, some of those notes?
I've got it on my computer.
You've got it in the computer, yes. You can read for us from the computer next time, and that's fine. If you, this is for everyone, if you write down notes in your computer or in the notebook, and you want to tell us from your memory, you may like to tell me, I have written some of the notes, now I'm going to say as I remember, and then I will understand the situation. Okay, so Yaza?
The Code of Hammurabi was one of the oldest known written documents. The code states that children were subject to the same rules as adults, but were also under complete control of their father. And juveniles function very much like the mentally retarded. One of the biggest similarities is their cognitive deficit, which I don't really understand. Mm-hmm. Teens may be highly functioning, but that doesn't make them capable of making good decisions.
Cognitive means thinking. Deficit means weakness. So weakness in thinking. Whenever you read this word cognitive, think about thinking. And deficit just means weakness, or that something is not complete, incomplete state. Now it's clear what is cognitive deficit? And Yamo?
The lawyers for Graham were arguing the same principle that led the Supreme Court to rule the death penalty for juveniles unconstitutional in 2005. Central to that decision was the idea that there is something unique about the intellectual, emotional, and psychological makeup of adolescents. And then, in the early part of the 20th century, children could be taken into custody just for throwing snowballs and summarily sent away to a detention facility.
Yes. That was very interesting about the snowballs, but there was no specific example given, which I thought could have been better. It's better if there is a specific example, so that now if you tell anyone, kids could go to jail for throwing a snowball, then people will ask you, give me a reference. I don't believe that. And then you will say, well, I read it in this book, Teenage Brain. And they will say, well, that's nice, but that's not the kind of reference I'm asking about. I'm asking about the specific court case where that happened. And if you don't have it, well, then you're defeated for a weakness in evidence. And that's exactly this case. So I was a little unhappy about that, and that's why I think I didn't even note it down, because it's totally useless. All right, so I have so many notes, a lot of examples. So yes, I actually have it. Yes, I have those snowballs here in my notes still. So what I found was interesting was the biological point about Charles Whitman, he killed so many people, and then he wrote a suicide note. And then based on the suicide note, where he demanded that he has an autopsy, and there was an autopsy done on his body. And this is what was found. An autopsy was performed and an explanation was found. A grade 4 glioblastoma multiforme tumor about the size of a walnut protruded from under the thalamus and impinged on both the hypothalamus and the amygdala. And then further, the tumor certainly could have interfered with the normal balance of activity between his frontal lobes and limbic system. Limbic overdrive can result in rage episodes, and if the connections that normally inhibit or dampen these impulses were damaged by the presence of the tumor, he may have been incited to commit these crimes and lacked the ability to control those dangerous impulses. So this is one very interesting thing, but be careful. You may now come to the conclusion, aha, so those who are violent, all of them have some problem with their brain. And that is wrong. Many of those who engage in, do you call it, mass shootings, school shootings, and those kinds of things, they actually are absolutely healthy. Their brain is totally healthy and their mind is healthy. They probably have some problem in their history, in their personal history, but physically they're totally healthy, not like this young man called Charles Whitman. So do not come to the conclusion that someone violent is actually ill. Probably they're not ill at all. They just misunderstood, or they do not have a certain inclination to certain solutions. So it's important that we learn the options. If you do not know the options in a serious difficult case, well, then you don't have another option, because you don't know another option. We study, we read books, we read stories, we watch a lot of movies and documentaries and historical situations and so on, to see what kind of solution leads to what kind of result. And we gradually get this intelligence, this ability to decide, aha, so I have now more options. One option is to hit the person, another option is to tell them a vulgar word, to insult them, but there is another option also, and yet another one, and yet another one. And we always have our top 10 of our options. And we need to know that insulting and beating another person is not an option. It will never make it to our top 10. Our top 10 always need to be peaceful and inspiring. Would I suggest everyone else to resolve my problem in the same way that I'm resolving it? Would I be comfortable if the newspapers came, or whatever you call them, and they asked me, so how did you resolve this problem? Isn't that a fantastic solution? Now we will write it in the newspapers and all the world will know about it. Would I be happy if the newspapers took it? If yes, then that's pretty good. If you are happy that everyone else would follow the same solution that you did, if you are happy that the newspapers would write it and everyone would know it and everybody would learn it, and if you feel good about your solution, if you think, yes, what I did was really good, well, then, and moreover, it did not break any of the 5 precepts, well, then definitely that's a pretty good solution. Some solutions are not in accordance with the law, but the law provides only a minimum standard. It is the minimum, but it's the standard. That's why if you break a law, you're not immediately jailed. When you break a law, you first go to the courtroom and there is some discussion. And then after that discussion, there is some decision. So not all laws are, how to say that, are sacred. Laws that must be always followed, universal. Some laws can be broken upon consideration. So you need to understand that. And some laws provide you with a permission, but that permission should never be used. So as you can see, a law is quite complicated. Sometimes law prohibits you things, but you can actually do them. Sometimes law allows you things, but you actually cannot do them. So that's where law is a complicated thing, and it's a good thing to study and to understand. Doesn't mean you have to be lawyers, but you definitely need to have some basic understanding of the law of your country and know what are the limits, what are the boundaries, and what are the dangers. Okay, so I have already read for you my thing as well. Did I miss out anyone? Okay, so do you have any question, anything you would like to say or share with us, share with me and us your feeling about what you've read so far or anything else? If you have any problem or anything you would like to tell me anytime, please send me a message, send me an email in mangsarana@gmail.com. I have sent you my email address here in the chat box. So anytime you would like to share with me anything at all, I'm always open and I will do my best to support you. So you have that channel of communication fully open. All right, so it was a pleasure to see you again, and hopefully we'll meet again next week. For next week, please just finish the chapter. If you've already finished reading the chapter and you wrote 2 notes from the second half of it, then that's perfectly fine, so you don't have anything more. You may like to read those articles because we're still working on the chapter, so they're still valid, they're still actual. Kangaroo Court and about the juvenile death sentences. And that's it. Thank you very much. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be successful in everything you do.
Everybody, please unmute and say goodbye to the Seattle. Goodbye, Venerable Sir.
Sir.
Goodbye, Venerable Sir.
Nice. Thank you.